It's time for the Uncommon Wealth bonus content.
Hello, everybody, and you're listening to the bonus content of the Uncommon Wealth podcast, where I'm your host, Philip Ramsey.
And I'm Aaron Kramer.
We are going to recap and start doing recaps of the guests that we have on the show. Here's why. Sometimes some of the best information that Aaron and I have are after people.
Yes.
After we hit record. And we were like, why are we robbing people from this? Let's just hit record and just kind of process through. So we just got done with who?
Joe Snook.
Joe Snook, fishing, catering, or what is it? The chartering, fishing chartering. Yeah.
Fishing. See, he took me and my daughter out on a fishing charter when I went down to Florida.
Yep.
With my parents. My dad was supposed to go, but he got sick because, my dad's sick.
Yeah.
And so just me and my daughter went. So talking to him, I was like, Dad, I got to get you on the...
Yeah, I could see why you wanted him on the podcast. First, I'll say that. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah. Which, for a guy that wanted, you got to think about the type of guy that wants to work construction.
Yeah.
They're not usually typically us.
Your average person.
Yeah. And then to go be out on a fishing boat, out in the sun and taking people fishing every day.
Right. And here's the deal. At the end of the day, these are the fruit of the, these people who do construction are just awesome people.
Yeah.
Hard workers, just good people.
Yeah. My family members.
But when they get into something they're passionate about, there's the best of both worlds. So I could see him moving from being a hard worker and then doing something he's passionate about. You could hear it in the podcast. He was excited about it.
Yeah.
He's excited about when a kid wants to get a fish, he'll stay out there for longer, which is the kind of stuff that you're I want to hang out with this guy. Right.
Yeah.
And so super engaging, super friendly, but also knowledgeable. And I love the tenacity. So there's a couple things that I took away, but let's just first high level your overarching thoughts of the show.
So I mean, still on this one, can't let the listeners. Listeners got to know. I knew all this because I was on the boat with them, for
a long time.
Hours.
Yeah.
So I got to talk to him. I can't wait till we get this all on the podcast. But yeah, it's his grit,
Yeah.
Is willing to work hard, and the fact that he did I don't know, we didn't say this on the podcast, but I remember when he's thrown out, you have to go get live bait,
chum.
Yeah, so you have to go catch your bait before you go fishing, which is weird, right?
Kind of cool. Never in Iowa do you do that.
Yeah. But he was his net wasn't working well, and he was getting super frustrated. And I'm like, oh man, buddy, that's okay. It's funny. He's like, no, you guys are going to have a good day. So here, he's getting kind of angry, to the point where I was like, well, this feels kind of weird. But then when I told him, dude, it's okay. And then he was getting angry because he's determined to give me and my daughter a good experience.
Yeah, dude, that's cool.
So
you could tell he runs a successful company. And what I thought was interesting is as he was going into, what did he call the harbors or these places where all the boats are?
The docking stations.
Docking stations, yeah. And no one's talking to him. Yeah. That was interesting too.
Yeah.
And kind of understanding, there's a good old boys part of this.
Yep.
But also, not only are that, but they're also competition. And so you got to think of more boats, more people that are going to go on that charter instead of my charter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dynamics there. But the fact that he was no, and even got some physical altercations.
Yeah.
I found that it's oh, baby.
I know, I could totally see that happening because you think about fishermen.
Oh, man.
You're not these soft men. You're well calloused guys. High testosterone.
My fish is bigger than your fish.
Yeah, kind of. Yep.
Everything else.
Yeah.
Right.
So I know that I didn't hear about that on the boat. That was
I bet.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's a guy he's not a huge guy, but when you're on the boat with him, you could tell
he knows
you're probably not somebody you want to roll with.
He probably can hold his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because he is squirrely. For a guy to be he said he was
right.
What did he say? He's 50. Did he say he was in his 50s?
I didn't ask him how old he was.
He said it.
He did?
I remember him telling me, and it floored me when he told me on the boat. I was like, you are what?
Yeah. I don't know. So he started talking about his construction business that he had with his buddy that basically took it all. Which I didn't really realize that was before. So that's on me. Sorry about that. But part of his story, right? And then now he's kind of going back to it because he saw how successful it was. That was a turn for it. Because to me, I thought it was really interesting how it sounded like he was doing pretty good, just partnered probably with the wrong person.
Yep.
Then he started from scratch in something he was super passionate about, and have now realized 12 years into it is like, wow, like I really have to start thinking about me financially, not just the day-to-day grind, but like something to start thinking about me in the future.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I know we didn't get this on the show because we talked about it on the boat, but he was sitting there talking about how laborious it is to be on the boat.
Oh, yeah.
On him and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was just talking about that big fish. Like,
yeah.
He'd lose it two or three times and you might have a hammerhead shark come after you. Like,
right? I mean, he's talking about 150-pound fish. And if anybody's a fisherman that or is listening to this, like, don't come back and tell me, like, Aaron, it's way harder than that. I know, but my analogy is like, I've caught salmon and stuff like that. Those fish are you're hard to reel in, and then you grab onto them, like, while they're like, swinging around.
And then lifting them into the boat.
Yeah. They're in the water because they can suck themselves down into the water. That's their land. That's where they're supposed to be. So, like, they're strong.
Yeah.
So it's very laborious.
Right.
So, like, and he mentioned, he's like, he got a lot of fights in him still, but, like, he has to do that until, like, so it makes sense. Because I hadn't heard that he was going to do this, like the construction thing, but, like, so that must have been the change since we were down there.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I kind of constitute a little bit of like somebody who's like a massage therapist, or a chiropractor. Like, this is hard on your body. Like, your body eventually will just shut down.
Yep.
Like, and you've got to think about that, and you have to probably plan for it because your body at some point is going to be like, yeah, no,
I'm done.
Right. Yeah. So how are you going to get that big fish into the boat? Like, you're not going to tell your people that you're chartering, like, hey,
stick your hand in there.
Yeah, stick your hand in there.
Yeah, because you got guys like me. I'm like, where?
Yeah. What am I doing?
Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll end up in the water.
That's why I paid you.
Yeah.
So I think it's valid, and I'm not mad about it. I was just shocked.
Yeah.
And to think, like, here's another thing that shocked me was he was like, yeah, dude, meditated a lot, had a lot of faith, prayed a lot. I was like, oh, really? That was cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, there is something about this whole uncommon journey that is scary. And it's going to test you in many ways you never thought.
Oh my!
You're going to see cracks that you didn't even think were there. But I think at the end of the day, and I didn't ask him this, but would you have done it again? Or do you wish you would have just started a construction site? What is great question that I missed. So what do you think he would have answered?
I think he would have said he would have done all the same things.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that. That's what he's going to say.
Yeah. Now I kind of just want to text him and ask him, but
yeah, that's fine.
No, but I love his. It's fun to see him have like a great attitude. Like, it's interesting when he sits there and takes that, like, I'm not going to quit. Like, there's not an option.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how you have to go into it.
I agree.
Like,
you can't have an out.
Yeah. And that's my thing is, like, I know when he's saying it, like, it comes off very, like, tough because, I mean, he's a fisherman, so he is tough. But it's like, really getting down into it, you can't have an out. You can't have this, like, like, have this, like, little, like, rough or safe jacket just, like, waiting for you. Like, no, you got to jump off the bridge and you got to fall.
If you have 1 foot in and 1 foot out,
doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
So,
also interesting that he just had a relationship that ended.
Yeah.
That changes things. I'm sure that changes a lot of things for him.
It's funny when we're on the boat. So, Joe, if you hear this and you want me to share this, I thought it was great, but I want to say, he's like, no, man, I ain't. Start throwing beer balls at my head. You're done. I'm out.
Yeah.
I was like, I get that. I'm with you on that one.
That could be a line I'd also draw.
Yeah.
It's good. Well, Joe, best of luck to you, man.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you instilling your wisdom on us and our listeners. I hope this bonus kind of content is helpful because it's helpful to me.
Yeah.
And I do think that, not having 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and then also just really analyzing yourself and then knowing if, like, hey, the path that I'm on might not be able to continue. And so what is going to be the adjustment?
Yeah.
One thing that he's not going to adjust to is just go back to an 8 to 5. Like, could you imagine Joe trying to do it? I couldn't.
No.
I couldn't imagine myself or you. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Real quick, sorry, not to interrupt, because I don't.
Let's go.
The other thing I learned, I thought about this before, like, not calling your business your name.
Oh, yeah. That's also probably valid.
Yeah.
There's times where I think it could, like if you're a lawyer.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, that's not a bad decision. And then later you can maybe set your business up to be more sellable.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably something that obviously we kind of challenged Joe a little bit on the podcast, but if we could have maybe just challenged him earlier on, he could have maybe made a couple adjustments to maybe make it a little bit more profitable at the end.
Yeah. Well, I know he said this transition is going to be a few years. Like it's going to be a long time. Like, it's not happening tomorrow. So like, hopefully he can find that way to
transition it. Because I think what he has is valuable.
Yeah. I mean, I follow him on social media and like, he's taking people out. It's like, you got something there.
Yeah.
So,
Right, there's something there. Anyway, all right. Well, you listen to bonus content. Thanks for listening. Thanks again, Joe. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Till next time. Talk to you later.
Bye.